to Board Gaming. Today we're going to look at Yokohama. This is a 2 to 4 player game designed by Hisashi Hayashi and published by Tasty Minstrel Games. Nick is going to give an overview and then we'll give our review.
Welcome to Yokohama. In Yokohama, you're a Japanese merchant. Woo, that's a scary looking board. You're trying to get the most victory points, which shows that you are the best merchant in Japan. Do not be intimidated by this board. Do your best not to be, because there's a lot of stuff that looks like it's going on, but as usual, the actions are actually pretty simple. But I don't blame you for taking a look at all this mess and thinking this is not a game for you. Maybe it is though. Okay, so in Yokohama, let's explain some tiles out here and what you're going to be doing. So you do a main action phase. That's what I want to go over first, and then I'll explain these additional action phases second. So the main concept is you're going to be putting out these assistants. You can either place 3, 1 in different spots of the board, your choice, or you can place 2 all in the same spot. So let's say I do 3. I'll just choose 1 here, I'll choose 1 here, and I'll choose 1 here. I'm normally going to be picking ones that I think I want to do. So I do that, and then in this case Vic is the red player. She would take 3 of hers and do the same thing. Maybe she wants to go there too eventually, and maybe she'll go to the employment agency and the fishing grounds. Okay? Now, you notice that I am taking from the supply above and not things that are on my board. That's because things I have on my board, I don't start with these. I have to earn them. You can see that these cost money out here, these buildings. And these cubes will be free, but I still have to earn them by doing some actions. So you'll see that soon. Now that we have our assistants out here, we can place our president, which is just a generic looking pawn. We can place a president, so the first player, Mike, in this case, green player, is first, and they can put it on any spot that has their assistant. Since this is the first time of the game, it's off the board. Usually it will be on the board. So if I wanted money here, I would go here. If I wanted this product right here, this silk, I would go here. And if I want some copper, I would not go here, just because my power is represented by this president and this assistant. It is only a 2, and you notice copper is a little harder to get. This 2 power would not give me anything. So I'm going to build that up. Maybe I'll just go to the bank, and I'll get 2 coins. Because my power is 1 plus 1, 2. And I will just take 2 coins, 2 yen from the supply, and add it to my bank. Vic over here can look where she placed hers and do the same thing, whatever you expect. So in this case, she would go here and get 2 fish. 1, 2, 2 fish. Okay? And then next thing we would do, when we do all that, we would remove the action that we took. These go back to our supply so we can use them. We don't lose them. Once we have them, we don't lose those. Unless you do an action, which we can talk about that. They will stay out there. So let's see. So those are the basic ones, like the copper mill is what we just, like those type, these little hammer ones right here, this mallet. Those types are pretty similar. You're gonna do the thing and you're gonna see how many you have, what kind of value you have, and so forth, and actually just get what's listed there. Also the same as a fish, same as a tea plantation. So let's go over some of the ones that aren't as straightforward, I guess. So same concept though. If I had, let's say I had 2 guys there. Now normally we have to move these. We have to move the president. We don't just throw it on the board. So this president's right here. It can only move through places where it has assistants. So I could move this way. I could come down here if I had to. That's what I'm gonna do. If I were to cross over Vic, if she was here, I couldn't go here. If I was to maybe pass through and want to get to the copper and I had to pass through, I would have to pay $1 to her to pass through and go here. So I am actually just gonna do that. I have a 3 value here. That means I have 3 value gear. This is the laboratory, so I'm going to look at the laboratory management board. I have 3 value gear, and you notice the value right here. There's various values out here, actually a lot of 3s, but there's 6s, I think, or 5s. I think there's a lot of 5s and 3s. But I can't afford any of those because those have bonuses, extra. I can afford one of these 2. So let's just say it's early in the game. This one's good because this will give me $1 every time I gain the technology card. So that might be good if I plan to get a lot of these. You notice this has a country on it at the bottom. That I'll explain soon. This one, I explained that rule. This breaks the rule. I may move my president over areas occupied by president markers without paying. So that would probably even be better in like a 3 or 4 player game. In a 2 player game, nah, I'll just do this one. So I will use my 3 gear to get this ability, and also Netherlands, which we'll say later. So that is the lab. The port is how you get some of these cards right here, and you just pay goods as an additional action. In order, you just pay these type of goods. You also get the Germany flag, you get victory points, you get coins, and you get a placement. So here's that symbol that I wanted to show you guys. This is when you can place something from off your board. You just pay the $2 if you want this shop. You pay the $4 in this case if you want this right here, this trading post, I believe they call it. So if I were to fulfill that as a bonus action, I can actually take one of these out of my supply, or into my supply from my board. So let's say I did that. Let's say I took this card, if I had something here, and you see the symbols here to show you how good of a card you can get or how far down this track you can get. So as long as I had at least one assistant here, and we can say that we did, I can go ahead and buy this low one right here and just put that in my hand. As a bonus action, I can fulfill that. Okay. Another thing out here, these are optional steps, but if you were to have a value 5 right here, you can see that you get better and better. If you get a value 5, you get this bonus. These are all randomized, as well as every tile on here is pretty much randomized. This game actually spans out more with more players. So I get this tile if I had a 5 value, and I can, there's a reminder here, these houses right here, you see that the shapes are different, and they're also in red, but that's a reminder that you can place onto this. So here, we can play a trading post. It's going to give you 7 victory points. That's pretty powerful. And here you can place the shops. Right when you place them on top, you get that thing. So in this case, it's a resource of any kind. You can see the colors, match the colors listed here. Not the imports, that's something separate. So it's these colors. And how to do that? Well, you just take, in this case, we start the game with 2 of these shops. So if I placed a 4 or a 5 value, in this case I didn't, but if I did, I just put it over top and get the thing, okay? And it just stays there. That will count as one assistant for the rest of the game. So that helps you get better totals on these. Okay, so we'll talk about additional actions that you can do. You can fulfill an achievement. We have achievements up there. We just take one of our assistants and it will be stuck there. If I happen to have 7 fish at this point, I can place this right here. In the game, I'll get 8 victory points. If I have any combination of those 5 tokens, and when I flip these over, you can see what I'm talking about. There you go. These are all 5 on them, so when we actually acquire these, any combination of the 5 tokens or these ambassadors, I think they call them, right here, then I can fulfill that. And this one, there's that hammer logo we saw. So once we have buildings on these, if we have 4 of them, we're the first one, we get 10. If we're the second one, third one, or fourth one in a 4-player game, we can get 8. So that is fulfilling an achievement. You can also fulfill the order that I mentioned. So if you have any of these in your hand, you can fulfill those if you have the items for them and earn those flags. Now's a good time to talk about the flags though, because that is one more additional action you can do. If you had a pair of a flag, so let's say you had 2 Germanys. I'm going to use Netherlands in this sample because I already have one down here. So that tech card was Netherlands. If I happen to buy this high valued Netherlands card, I wouldn't earn it right away. It would be face down, it earned my hand essentially. But once I did earn that by paying these resources, I would get eight victory points, and I would have a match in Netherlands. So that gives me this ambassador. This ambassador lets me do an action in a spot where I have an assistant and I don't need my president to be there. So a free action. I can do this at any time. I don't need to do it right when I get it. So I can use him here, for instance, if I wanted to, and take, well, I wouldn't do that because, again, I explained, I don't have enough for copper. So let's just say I had some more out there for my example. I could spend that ambassador and get 1, 2, 3, 4 value, which is 2 of his bricks, or copper. It's a copper mine, technically. So I would take 2 of those resources. And I also still have that option. If I do have a building, I can cover one of those up. So let's say if I need money, I can go here. If I just want the victory points, I can place it right there. I get 3 victory points up here. All right, and so using a foreign ambassador is a bonus action. We have some other spots here. This is a good spot to get more things off your board, and it works the same way. If I have a certain amount, you always have to pay the cost again of these and these, but you could just get more ambassadors for free. Just going here, and let's say you had a 4 value, you can get 3 of them for free if you don't want to pay any money for other things. So they just go into your supply. But again, when you do the actions, so if I did this one, I get all these back right here. So I do keep getting a lot back in return. So really quick, the church, if I spend any resources or if I have any value here, I get this value in the church. The church is up here, the management board. You notice I have these pawns out here. We're playing 2-player games, so we're supposed to block off these 2-player spots right here. These are not used in a 2-player game, so we just block them off, put these dummy pawns right there in colors that aren't in play. So anyway, we go to the church. Let's say we had a value 4 in assistants and presidents or whatever in any of these buildings, whatever they all add up. And by the way, these are modular. These cards, there's tons of them. So it won't be the same game every time. Oh, there's tons of them here. And everything changes, so that's good to know. So if I did the church and I did the value 4, I could just do this value 4 and get these victory points, and this means I can play a assistant out from my actual supply to anywhere out here. Or I could spend these, but not equal, so I can spend items to get an extra value. So I could get more and more victory points and bonuses, but I just can't do that one. Same concept with up here with the customs, so I'm gonna look for customs, there it is. I can spend these imports as I earn them through the game, right here, to place out a cube on that and get victory points and whatever bonuses. Again, these, when they go out, they stay out. So if I took that spot, I'm not getting that back. I'm guaranteed not to get that back. So we're gonna keep playing in that sequence. Again, the sequence is a bonus action, if anyone has one. Usually at the beginning you don't. Then you're gonna do the main action, which is drop in the assistants. Then you're gonna move your president to do the action where you have your assistants. And then you get the bonus if you have any more bonuses, the fulfill, all that, the fulfill right here. If you had cards in your hand, you can fulfill your cards, you can do your ambassadors and all that, those bonus actions. We're gonna keep doing that until one of the end game conditions is met. Either we run out of cards, we have a certain amount, you see right here, the game ends in a 2-player game. If you have 5 out here, game ends in a 2-player game if I have 5 out here. And also if somebody runs out of these trading posts, if somebody runs out of these shops, you'll play one more full round, and that will be the end of the game. You're gonna add up their totals for sets of these countries. So you want sets in that case, individual, like different ones, because those add up quicker. There's a little cheat sheet right here to show what you get in your points. So I don't really want to go over every single thing, but take a look right there. You can see sets is what scores you in that case that is mentioned. But you can see different things. This is the tech reference for that there. And their goods add up and so forth. You're going to see most victory points is the winner.
All right, welcome back for our review of Yokohama.
This one I am going to score pretty high. I liked it, 8.7. Vic and I first played this at a board game cafe in Chicago. We actually had a really small table, so if you actually watched the playthrough that I was doing, that board can get pretty big if we had any more players. If we had 3 players or 4 players, that thing really spans out. It's already huge on the on that small table. We pretty much had a drink off to the side on like the edge of the table, balancing halfway, and the game spanned out the rest of the table. But we and it looked pretty intimidating when we put it on the table. I remember that because we went in not knowing any rules. And in a board game cafe, you kind of want to know a little bit of what's going on. I just knew the game, and I've heard of good things. So I just picked it out, and we played it. And we actually learned it pretty quick. So looking at it, you'd think it's harder to learn, and maybe I didn't do a good job explaining in the video because I did take 14, 15 minutes, I noticed. But hopefully everything pretty much made sense of what I was doing. I think the game itself is a pretty simple game, but it has good choices, a lot of interesting decisions you're making, but you are moving quick if you know what you're doing. What do you score this one, Vic?
I have a very similar 8.6.
Almost perfect.
A lot of fun. Really like the amount of components, even though it is a lot of stuff. I really enjoy all the different resources that you can take, all the choices. You can go different ways in the game to try to get victory points, or you could be well-rounded and sort of look at all areas if you can. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy the game a lot, and it was easy to learn. Like Nick mentioned, we picked it up on the fly. He was able to learn it in no time and pass on how to teach it to me. So it was great. It was a lot of fun, and I recommend it.
I like the variable, like how the board sets up. Every game's gonna be totally different. The board's gonna be different places. Everything's gonna be different.
Yeah.
The cards that you get out there on the boards are gonna be different every time. The achievement stuff's gonna be different every time. It's just, everything's going to be different. You're going to keep playing it if you like it. So I like that too.
Yeah, and the worker movement aspect of it, you have to be a bit clever about where your assistants are going to be and where you ultimately want your president to end up and where is the other player's president. Because that's something you have to factor in. So it makes it a really great worker movement game. Let us know in the comments section below what your favorite worker movement game is. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and we will see you next time. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye-bye.